Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for taking the time to attend today's update and Q&A on Summon. I'm Brent Cook, the product manager for Summon. And today we have a variety of things we're going to go over. I'll talk about some of the improvements we've made over this past year and what you are hopefully taking advantage of in Summon currently. I'll talk about what you should expect in the November quarterly release, which goes live in the preview environment tomorrow. I'll give you an update on CDI, talk about what's coming and when, and then I'll talk a little bit about what we have in the hopper for 2020 in the roadmap for 2020. So a few highlights of recent improvements that we've made. We had a full year this year with 4 major releases, our regular quarterly releases. The February release came out on the 6th and was delivered on time. We have a variety of features that came as part of that. A citation trail was one of them. This allows you to follow citations from a single search result where a researcher or a student can go and find an article they like and then follow either a cite or cited by path to see either what articles cite that article or what citations are made within that article and following those pathways. As you do that, it provides you with a few navigational elements to help you get back to where you were or keep track of where you are. One is that the new cited by or citations tab is open when you click on it. You can easily click back to your original search if you'd like to. There's also a breadcrumb trail, which you can see there in the right-hand image, where you can see where you started, where you are, and all the articles that took you to get from one point to the other. So hopefully this is a feature you've turned on and you're using. We also did some changes around topics and Topic Explorer. In addition to adding Oxford University Press content, we added several reference materials from them. We also made it so that you can configure Topic Explorer on your own. In the past, you'd have to ask us to make changes to Topic Explorer, and the changes we can make were limited. Now, you can activate or deactivate any source of content that you'd like to use for the reference entry that you have access to. Also, you can change the order of all the various sections of Topic Explorer, which is the reference entry, recommended research guides, suggested terms, and a suggested librarian. Excuse me. And you can either turn those on or off and determine the order in which they're displayed. We also made some changes for Summon Over in the first quarter of the year. We added the ability to execute a search from the author or subject name by clicking on a link on the services page. And we also made it so you could publish your collection level URL with any electronic holdings. So in May, on the 15th, we launched our next release, which again was delivered on time. It included glanceability. We added a visual indicator to help you understand more about the results as you glance at it, such as whether it's an original research or review article and the link of the article. We have adjusted the algorithm on how we make the match for original research versus review. So if you check this out when it first came out, take a look again in the preview environment and tell us what you think. In addition, we've added related items. For this first iteration of this feature, which we hope to expand in the future, you can now identify book reviews and chapters associated with a specific book. As you can see from that top result there, there's a button that says Reviews and Chapters. If you click that, that opens the pane on the right-hand side that includes both book reviews and chapters. You can use a tab to switch between the two. If one is not present, so if you only have book reviews or chapters, only that tab would show up. But if there is an association with the book, that would be displayed in that right-hand column. We also had some other Summon Over improvements in June, specifically the ability to suppress duplicate links that were appearing on eCatalog inventory that was merging with provider records, and then the ability to make some changes to the course reserves page, disable or enable columns, and change the order. This summer, on August 7th, we launched some of our biggest changes to the user interface, including things like improved facets. You can now customize just about every aspect on the facets pane. You can change the order in which the various facets appear. You can determine which are included, which are collapsed or expanded by default. And in addition, it's a small change, but I think it was an important one. We added the little arrow, the indicator that shows you whether a heading is collapsed or if there is more or there are more options beneath it. Previously, that little arrow didn't show up there, and some folks would get a little confused and not realize that there were options under it. So that visual indicator should help as well. And again, you can change, I have a gray here, but you can change the background to any color that you'd like using just a hexadecimal value. We also added public notes. This is something that came off of last year's New Enhancement Request System, or NERS voting system. That is the process we have with Igloo and Eluna, where you vote on various features that you would like to see in the product, whatever is at the top of that list. So we build that into our roadmap, and this was one of the last ones we did for the last cycle. And again, it's the exposure of information related to specific resources. You can now display database notes, database all title notes, title level notes, and title location notes. We also did some integration work with Leganto, our course reading list solution. You can now execute searches from within Leganto directly into Summon. We also did some improvements around OBI and the reporting for Summon. There are a variety we did throughout the year. This is one of the first ones that we released. We added the ability to track the use of the open access facet. As you can see there in the lower right-hand corner, it's now on the facet usage report. And you can go in there and see how many people have selected the facet as true. We also added IEDL reporting. That was added in September, actually, just after the August release. It allows you to see what content is being used and from what source. It reports on the click path from Summon results to the content itself. So it's reported the number of clicks by provider. If you'd like to see that report, you can go into the Summon community folder in your instance of OBI and look for the report titled Title Clicks. And something to note, the clicks in that report do go back until the beginning of OBI reporting. However, we only started reporting in aggregate, we only started reporting individual provider level clicks as of the end of July. So any data before July will come out as total clicks and have a blank entry for who the provider is. After that, you should get the granularity to show you specifically what clicks go to which provider. And then we have the November quarterly release, which again, as I mentioned, goes live tomorrow in the preview environment, and then 2 weeks later on November 6th into the production environment. And I want to note there are actually a few changes that we have. We've added a few things and modified a few things for the November release. That's on track to be launched on November 6th. And again, be live tomorrow in the preview environment. Link data. Originally, we hoped to have the entire link data set completed by this release. We are still working on creating sitemaps for link data. Overall, the backend work in the November release provides all of the quality assurance of the data and the mapping of the data to ensure we can use it for this purpose. And in the first quarter of 2020, we'll release some static pages that will be built specifically for search engines to crawl, Google in particular, in order to index your information so that if people are looking for materials on Google or other search engines, they can still find links to your content and be brought back into your instance of some of your content. We also have a variety of video improvements coming in, better visual treatment of video content overall. You'll have additional thumbnail images as part of your video content, but more video content will have icons or pictures to go along with them. And you'll have a play icon that will show up over the thumbnail itself to show you that it is video content, and you will have the ability to start playing the video from the result itself. Finally, we made some improvements to Topic Explorer, or next we've made some improvements to Topic Explorer. We made some changes in how we update the content with Wikipedia. We've automated that process as much as possible so that we can keep content fresh and current for Topic Explorer. Another addition that we had is the addition of Unpaywall. This is the ability to link directly to PDFs from Unpaywall in the search results. There will be an icon there to indicate that PDF link. So there will be no need for additional login. If you activate this functionality, any result that has a link to Unpaywall that we can match up to identifiers in their system with ours, we will provide a link directly to that PDF. One thing to note for the first release of this, It will include that direct link to the content. It will not include functionality itself, the facet functionality itself. So in other words, if you click on the open access content facet to include only open access content, then any content that is marked as on paywall will not necessarily be triggered off of that. So unless another record associated with that content is marked as open access, then there's the possibility that that unpaywall link won't show up in those results. In addition, it isn't grouped in packages, so you cannot activate it, so it's a default part of your catalog. So there will be unpaywall links likely in your beyond your library's collection. We will be working on improving that and adding that fast functionality early in 2020, and we thought that it was important to get this content out there to you and your users, so we start to get feedback on the functionality and hopefully make your patrons' lives a little bit better. Two other additions that we have for the November release as well is the addition of the uniform title search. So that field is now available as a default part of the search and for relevance for your instance of Summon. When you do a search, you'll automatically search that field as well as all the others we currently support. And also we'll be adding some new functionality to the advanced search page, the ability to match all, match exact, or match any. And again, those are all additions to the release. Next, I want to talk a little bit about CDI, the Central Discovery Index. Hopefully you've seen some of our presentations around it. If you haven't, there are a lot of deep dives into various parts of or about CDI. So we have those published on our Knowledge Center. If you want to find out more, please go look those up. I just want to give you a quick overview if you haven't heard much about it. It is the new index for Summon and for Primo. It'll be a unified index for both. It'll include a graph database so we can build new and different relations to be able to build more intelligent features on top of. It's going to result in better performance, faster ingestion of content, and a variety of other changes. And it's really a focus on data intelligence. How do we build a system so that we can build more features like citation trail, like related items, so that you can get more contextual relationships and more glanceability out of those billions of records in the index. So the current status on it, originally we were slated to release it by November or December of this year. We are moving it to the beginning of 2020. The shift will allow for some addition of some new improvements. We're taking a look at what we can add in with that a little additional time. Ultimately, the transition should be seamless for you. There are no changes in the user interface, other than some potential new features which would be configurable on the back end and you need to activate in order for those to show up. There's no changes to the API. Any custom code that you have on the system on the user interface, that should not be impacted at all. The upgrade should be similar to what we do currently with a monthly maintenance release. So each month, if you're unaware that we don't do a quarterly release, we do maintenance and we do releases of code changes to address issues or add new back-end functionality. The upgrade should be similar to that. And again, once we have the specific date, I expect it to be early Q1 2020, I will send out information on that and a complete description of any new features that you might be able to take advantage of. But overall, it should be a seamless maintenance release type release for you. So now I want to talk a little bit about 2020 and what we have planned for the next year. So over the next couple of months, we'll be finalizing what the roadmap will be for 2020. I pull from a variety of resources, the Idea Exchange. Certainly I go out there and look the new enhancement request system, which I mentioned earlier in mirrors. Those features are included as part of the roadmap. I'm working with the Topic Explorer and Database Recommender Focus Group, which is part of Illuna. If you're interested in joining that or hearing more about that, please let me know. You can reach out to me via email. I'll have that at the end of the presentation. I've also got a variety of feedback from the Analytics Working Group that's part of Igloo and Illuna with some improvements to make for OBI and our overall statistics and reporting. I'm also looking at the needs of our Summit of Aroma customers and developing goals from the product standpoint as well. Both what are the things we need to do to stay relevant and move forward in discovery, but also what am I hearing from you as I go to various events, site visits, and things like that, and what are the things that we need to do to both make the product work well as it is and build it for a better future. So the roadmap candidates, once we've determined what those will be scored for inclusion based on the overall benefits and the level of cost or effort and our feasibility to do it. So now I'll share with you some of the current ideas that are at the top of the list that we're taking a look at for the Idea Exchange and, again, the NERS voting process, which uses ideas from the Idea Exchange for its source for topics to vote on. The top ideas include things like separating the books and ebooks from searching, adding a date last updated to the database details, better display of 5xx fields, and a variety of others. If you haven't been out to the Idea Exchange recently, please go out there and take a look. There's a lot of good ideas there. So I'll pull from both Idea Exchange and all top results from NERS will be included as well. For the Topic Explorer and Database Recommender focus groups, the things we'll be targeting for 2020 will be improved bias reduction, better documentation of how it works, improvements for the user interface, including focus on accessibility in mobile, making it so that you have the ability to disable it or have it have less of a footprint on smaller screens. That includes smaller desktops all the way down to a smartphone. And then just improve topics overall. What are the related topics that we have and how do we make those connections? For Database Recommender, and for both of these, we'll also be working on improving the back-end management tools to make it easier for you to manage how they work and what's displayed. And for Database Recommender, we'll improve that activation process, make it simpler for you to curate those sources on the back end and improve our matching. And as I mentioned, I'm working with the analytics focus group with Illuna to determine the best OBI improvements. Some of the things that are on the list that we need to address are the ability to track advanced searches, add back-end IP address reporting. We had that at one time. Add the ability to track exclude for the FACET reports, provide better access to reports so that you can share them or provide people without complete logins access to the reporting, and extend what clicks we report on, as well as doing a variety of improvements in polishing. Next, I want to talk a little bit about some of the upcoming events that we have. We have a variety of webinars that are coming up shortly. On November 6th, there will be a Summon customer session talking about interface configurations, so people using Summon, talking about how they do that. And integration and interoperability with other products. We'll talk about that on February 5th. We'll send out information on how to sign up for those webinars. And then we also have a couple of customer success sessions designed for December 3rd and 4th, undergraduates in discovery, talking about that topic. And soon we'll send out a schedule for our next content quarterly webinar, expected to be November 18th. Session that's customer focused for Summon on January 22nd regarding analytics, and then of course another quarterly update and roadmap review to be done sometime in January. It will coincide with information around CDI as well. And then I also want to put in a plug for the Charleston conference. Hopefully you'll be there. I'll be there that week. So if you are there, please reach out to me. We're going to be there. Reach out to me. I'd love to have the chance to say hello and meet with you and get your feedback and just learn about what you're doing with someone. And there's also a lot of events that we're sponsoring or participating in. There's a CDI session on Wednesday, November 6th, putting data intelligence into the core discovery. We have a couple with ProQuest, the ProQuest acquisition for academic libraries. It's Arts and Science on Thursday the 7th, and a happy hour on November 7th. Hopefully you'll come socialize with us there. And then a variety of special sessions that are interesting because they're both topics you'd be interested in, and their presentations being made by you, the customer, and we greatly appreciate that work that you do. There's a variety of sessions here. We will make these slides available after the presentation so that you can go through and see these. We also have it summarized on a Ex Libris page. You can see that at the bottom. If you search on Ex Libris in Charleston, you'll find this page, but also you can type in this URL And again, we'll make this presentation available after the call. And that brings me to the end of our scheduled slides and presentation. Please send any questions you might have through the Q&A tool.